First of all, no, I have not stopped What If Naruto was an Exile Saiyan, so there's nothing to worry about. There was a bit of a mishap, so that will be up first thing tomorrow, guys. But today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto got stuck in the apocalypse after Chunin exams. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in social media platform, and also guys, go ahead and check out the other channels. Yes, I did have 4 of them, guys, that I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy, so go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And also, don't forget to comment down below and tell me if you're new. Links will be down in the description for the other channels. And remember to turn on the bell notification, see when I post, because I do post a lot. So without further ado, would you say we begin this? Now guys, start the intro. So the last spot we left off, Naruto woke up in his kitchen, as he was confused to why he was in there. Seeing that last thing he remembered was falling unconscious outside, and now he was inside his kitchen okay. He quickly rushed as he checked as he saw that Ion was okay. Kurenai was okay as well, as Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't know what the hell happened, but he was home and he was safe. As Naruto started to make a journal about his logs, on how much days has it been, as he wrote down everything. He checked his supplies as he waited. Naruto wanted to leave the next morning, however, he was more cautious about leaving the 2 girls behind, as he placed on a note beside the both of them to make sure that if either of them woke up. So with that, he headed out and got some supplies. Once he came back though, Naruto was surprised to see Ayam was awake. He was so happy. However, it took her a while to adjust, as she must be starving as Naruto prepared her something. But before she could eat though, her hands started to tremble as she started to remember what happened. As she went over what happened to her. When the invasion started, they went down to the cellar, believing that it would soon be over, until there was this loud explosion that shook the entire place. That was a meteor falling. It was then that she and the others inside waited, and they waited. Some of them decided to go and explore. As they went out there, her father was one of them. She begged him not to go, but being the man that he is, he went out to explore to make sure that everything was okay. Others went. It went so bad that she was the last one left. As it was nothing, absolute silence, she started to go mad. She decided to go and check it out with a steel pipe, but she saw something. She had to quickly rush back and barricade herself inside. Whatever it is tried to slid under the door. She bashed it with the pipe so hard until her hands were numb, and she was locked in there ever since. Whatever that thing was, it took her father away, as she was going crazy by the time Naruto had returned. That is why she started to attack him. Naruto was able to make her eat something as she started to talk to him. She found out what he has been doing for Kurenai, as she told him that she can take over for him, as Naruto was more than glad to let her do that. Also, Naruto had went out into the field and tried to access his chakra, but it wasn't working. But something else happened though. Green markings started to spread over his body, his eyes turned green. Green smoke started to ooze from him, as Naruto was tapping into something completely unknown. However, it was too painful as he ended up collapsing to his knees. With that said and done, Naruto had returned. He had to gather some more supplies, though this time a lot, seeing that Ayam was awake. But she was fearful of him going. But Naruto was happy that she was here now, so she could watch over Kurenai, while he can go to the farther district of Konoha. However, he told her that she should just welcome him home. She was confused, but Naruto never really had anyone to welcome him home, so once she do that, he would always come back. She bid him good luck as Naruto made his way out. He went farther than he ever went before. That is when he ran into a problem as Naruto had to hide. After he found out something about the scrolls that he took, Surprisingly, he was able to seal things into scrolls despite not having chakra, but when he tried it, it turned green. But the items were sealed inside. Confused but happy, Naruto took them and stored them away. Something then went on though. Something was watching him. Naruto hid behind a door. Before he came out and slid behind the wall. It was so fast as a creature appeared in front of him. It didn't have any eyes or ears. Naruto wasn't sure if it was seeing him or actually hearing him, but it dropped something. Naruto's eyes went wide as he saw the head of one, Hinata Hyuga, and two others. Naruto was baffled, he was shocked, he was shaken. As he started to lose it, he started to get angry, but he realized that he was surrounded. If he fought these things, not knowing how strong they were, he could die. And he could not just leave Ayam and Kurna like that. So Naruto waited until he moved. The ground ended up collapsing because the structure was immensely weak as Naruto fell. Several small creatures started to emerge from the earth. They were able to move like some sort of slug, but they were fast. As they start to attack, a giant one started to attack Naruto, but he lost it. He ended up pulling on something dark inside of him. Launching towards the thing, he sliced it up. As Naruto was able to pull himself up despite the pain. As he tracked himself home. Arriving towards the location, he saw Ayam. As she pulled him inside, he had fell unconscious once he came. But when Naruto woke up, who he saw surprised him. It was Kunai. She was awake. A bright smile came on his face, but it quickly vanished. As he remembered, he saw the head of Hinata, her prize student, not to mention, some time ago. He saw the remains of Kiba. How could he tell her what he saw? As it just broke him on the inside. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the place, check out for yourself. So to begin this new episode, start now guys. Naruto opened his mouth to speak. However, he closed it back and opened it once again. He must have looked like some kind of gaping fish. The young Genin was for once at complete loss. What was he supposed to tell her? Kurna-san, I just found two of your Genins dead. Sorry about that. He didn't know what to say. He just hung his head down. Never mind, he said. I'll tell you later. Kurna looked towards him as she saw it. The emotions, guilt, horror. It flashed across his face. She had seen that look many times in her career as a kunoichi. She saw his eyes and he looked like a very tired, crestfallen shinobi. She saw someone that had seen too much and received too little. She wondered what he had to say, but she could tell that it was nothing really good. Though this concerned her, she did not push it. She was never the kind of person to bring up something that someone didn't want to bring up. She had woken him a bit before Naruto had returned home. She made some small talk with Ayam about the world. She did not know much. The last thing Kurna remembered was fighting about 5 or 6 sound sand shinobis out in the street. Then a rock, larger than she has ever seen before, crashed into the earth. The ground had shook like it was being torn to pieces. The pain and injury that she received had knocked her out. She couldn't even say that she was awake. She had felt like she was right in the center of life and death for about a week. When she fully became aware of herself, she was under warm blankets in Naruto's apartment. She asked about the invasion, but Ayam merely shook her head. She opened the windows and told her even if the invasion force won, there wouldn't be much that they could gain from their victory. The look on her face was one of absolute shock and horror as she saw the empty vastness of her village. Skies filled with greenish, yellowish dust clouds. Sounds of distant thunder that rattled the buildings all around. Purple lightning and tornadoes swirling angrily in the distance. She saw it all. She had to question if this was the end of the world or not. She asked Ayam question after question, but each seemed to just stress Ayam out even more. The look on her face. She looked mentally scarred and terrified. She swapped topics. She asked Ayam if she was the one that rescued her. But she was here though long before Ayam got here. He was the one that rescued her and nursed her back to health. To say that Kurna was stunned was a complete understatement. Forgive her previous astonishments. But she did not expect such a thing from the one that the Academy deemed as a failure. Hell, even his win against Kiba astounded her. His win against Nejuel, she threw out almost everything she thought of him right there and then. She now saw what attracted Hinata to him. He may not be a genius by society definition, but not many people can plan the way he did. Kurna also noticed her old clothing that was covered in blood was near a dirty clothing pile. Ayam claimed that Naruto found her first. If that was the case, Kurenai closed her eyes and sighed away the embarrassment. She had a feeling she knew where her thoughts were going. If Naruto had done what she thought he did though, she would let it go. Sure, the embarrassment would make her try to punch him until the information was erased from his head of what he saw. But she was more sensible than that. She knew when her life had been safe. She would be grateful for that. She would try not to hold against him, but she did wonder though, how many days he had to care for her until Ayam arrived. She probably wouldn't ask though. Anyway, she thought of her team. She hoped that they were alright. While Kurenai wouldn't admit that she played favorites, she will admit that she felt closer to Hinata than Kiba or Shino. Asuma always liked to joke that Hinata demeanor had brought out Kurenai's motherly instincts. She played it off, but she wondered if he was right. She hoped that she could get better soon so that she could be out there with Naruto. She would look for others and restore whatever order they can be to this accursed world. The door opened as Ayam stepped in. "Naruto-kun, you're weak." "Thank God," she said. She rushed over, throwing her arms around him. "Ayam-chan," said Naruto. "That hurts." Embarrassed, she pulled herself back. "Sorry," she said. "Your bag was kind of heavy, but I moved it to the living room." "How are you feeling?" she said. "You passed out right at the front door." "Let me wash up and get some food first. I'll go over everything later," said Naruto. He stood to his feet. He wobbled for a moment, but he found his footing as he left. Ayam and Kurenai glanced toward each other as Ayam asked, "Did I interrupt something?" "I honestly don't know," said Kurenai. Meanwhile, as Naruto stepped inside the shower, truth be told, his mind was completely blank as he washed himself off. He almost did not remember anything until he sat at the kitchen table, as Ayam placed a bento in front of him with some juice. Yet he might as well not even seen it. Seeing Kurenai awake, all he could now see was Kiba's corpse and Hinata's head. "Naruto, what's wrong?" "Obviously, something's bothering you," Ayam said. The light of the candle was the only thing that lit the room as they sat together. Naruto trembled. "There's nothing wrong, Ayam-chan," he said. He was almost trying to make himself believe what he was saying, but he knew that it was wrong. "Don't lie to me. I've known you most of your life. I know when something's wrong. Tell me," she said. "I said it's fine," said Naruto. "No, you're not." "Yes, I am. Naruto-kun." "I said I'm fine, damn it," Naruto said, shouting at her as he slammed his hands on the table. As Naruto immediately stopped, he looked up as he saw the shock and pain look on his friend's face as he slumped back in the chair. His head came and dropped down on the table. He hoped the candle was not bright enough to show his face. "How do I tell her, Ayam-chan?" said Naruto. Her gaze softened when she heard the distress in his voice. His words became uneven, and they started to croak up. "How do I tell Kurenai-san I saw 2 members of her team dead?" Ayam's eyes widened as she quickly turned her head looking towards the room where Kurenai was in. She immediately understood what unnerved Naruto so much. She watched as he clenched his fists. "Kiba and Akamaru are gone. Nothing but bones," said Naruto. "And Hinata." As Naruto's fist tightened even more, when Naruto spoke what happened, Ayam was beyond shock. How could such a fate befall a sweet girl like that? In what world did someone like that, someone so nice, someone so caring, deserve such a fate? First the village, then her father, and now Naruto friends. Everything was coming down around them. The grief and sorrow threatened to overwhelm them. Yet, both of them stiffened as they heard coughing. They turned as they noticed Kurenai, as she was wheezing in pain as she clenched her chest. She coughed so hard that blood came from her mouth, as she had came out of the bed when she heard Naruto yell, and pulled herself over here even though she knew that she should not get up. Whether she knew it or not, she dived into Naruto's chest and wailed, coughing as well as he held on to her. She felt her mind break in 2 pieces after hearing the scream and heard what he said. Hinata, beheaded. Kiba, bones. She felt like she was stabbed in the chest with a hot kunai. She felt like her heart was about to explode out of her chest. Images that she never wanted to see of her students rampaged through her mind like a movie scream. Hinata, Kiba, they were both dead. They were both. She gripped Naruto's t-shirt as she cried. She screamed and screamed, but the wind, it blocked out her voice. She had failed them. Why was she still alive if she failed to protect her own students? What was even going on in this messed up, screwed up world? They were gone. Why were they gone? She understand. Her mind literally breaking. She was in hell. Yes, she was in hell, she thought. As she ended up passing out, her illness and the stress was too much. The next morning she woke up. As she slowly opened her eyes, as she turned her head to the left feeling a weight, as she saw Naruto sleeping in the bed. However, seeing his face, she remembered what he said. She looked up to the ceiling. Hinata. Hinata wasn't the confident one. She lacked the drive to speak up most times. She wasn't the strongest, and she lacked confidence. However, there was always someone that could give her that confidence. This boy that was sleeping right at the edge of the bed, resting his head right here. He was the one that gave that to her. He gave her a reason to push forward and got her dreams in order. Then there was Kiba, the headstrong, brash, loud one, always calling himself the alpha of the group. None of her kids were adept at genjutsu, as they were all attuned to their family style, yet she did taught each and every one of them. Kiba took the fighting well. Yes, he took to the taijutsu and moves rather well. However, she disapproved of his trash talk, especially when he used against Comrade, when used against Naruto. But his fighting genius spoke for itself. Had he lived to his adult years, he would have become one of the most fearsome taijutsu shinobi in the world. She did not hear any news about Shino, but she lost hope really quickly. It was probably a matter of time before his body turned up somewhere. She didn't even know if she can stomach that thought. Just thinking about Hinata and Kiba was enough to physically and mentally break her. She started to cough. She quickly placed her hand over her mouth as her coughing worsened. The pain in her chest was great, greater than any pain that she ever felt. When she looked towards her palm, she saw how stained with blood it got. A hand shook her from her thoughts. She turned and saw that he was awake, as he was holding a wet rag. As he wiped her hands, he was silent as he worked, and she was silent as well. She had to admit something changed about the blonde. Last night his eyes were filled with nothing but dread and weariness. Now his eyes were filled with a deep burning inner fire that she has not seen in many people. Also, she was not sure why, but she could swear that she saw something swirling around him. No, seeing it was the wrong term. She could feel it deep within her. Something in his body was unnatural, yet it was giving off a strange vibes or energy. "How are you feeling?" he asked, as he placed a hand to her forehead. "Was that what you were going to tell me last night? That Hinata and Kiba were dead?" she asked him. Naruto nodded. "I see," she said. As the blonde stood up and walked out, he came back with Ayam. "Well, she's got a fever again. But I think the stress got to her. We don't have a doctor and the Konoha hospital has been torn down. I think we can only pray that she don't have any internal bleeding," Ayam said. Naruto slowly nodded. "Alright, later in the week, I'll make a trip to the hospital. There should be something over there since over-the-counter stuff is not gonna cut it. Ayam-chan, give Kurenai-san plenty of fluids. She'll need more rest. I'll be outside," said Naruto as he turned. "I'm fine," said Kurenai. "I've rested enough." "Kurenai-san, Naruto-kun is right. You can't get up. The fact that you got up yesterday wasn't good," Ayam protested. Despite the pain though, Kurenai threw the covers off. She swung her legs and landed them on the ground. No, she didn't want to rest. She didn't want to go back to sleep if she did. The visions of those things that she saw, they would enter her mind once again. She wobbled to her feet. She was a Jonin. She had to take charge. She had to be the one to lead. She had to protect this civilian and this genin. For her young comrades that died, she had to be better. She had to. "Kurenai-san, please, lie down," Ayam said. "I said I'm fine. I know what my body can take and cannot." Kurenai said she panted as she stumbled her way to the door. Just before she reached it though, she felt the small amount of chocolate that she had fade away into nothingness. For an instant her heart stopped, her instinct flared, as they told her of danger, a great pressure that almost made her fall to her knees. When she looked up, all she saw was Naruto, with a green aura exploding all around him. The mysterious aura sucked away all chocolate that she seemed to have, as it blazed like an inferno around his body. She tried to speak but no words came out. When she looked into his eyes, it was no longer blue. It was a deep shade of green. In front of those eyes she felt small, insignificant, weightless. "Get in bed, Kurenai-san," he said. His tone was not angry, nor was it harsh, yet something was just... Was it that chocolate? Was it because she felt delirious? She didn't know why, but his voice felt like a crashing thunderbolts slamming down on her. Whatever strength that she had was used to keep her conscious. The words that came from her mouth formed before she could even register what she was saying. Yes, Naruto-sama, she said. Both Ayam and Naruto were shocked at what she just said. However, there was no time to ask about it as her eyes rolled back as she collapsed right on top of their futon. As Ayam quickly moved over, she checked on her. She must have been more delirious than we thought. Don't worry, Naruto-kun. I'll get her back to bed. Right, said Naruto. Just give me an update when I come back, said Naruto. Ayam nodded. As Naruto had his things as he closed the door behind him. What the hell was that, he thought to himself. As he jumped on the railing, the dusty wings blown into his face as he jumped off. He ran to a corner of the village that he knew was deserted. Kurena's odd behavior aside, he had one goal for today. No, for the rest of the week, he had to find out what this chakra can do. It was 2 times now that Naruto almost lost his life. He had no idea how he got home those 2 times. Granted, the one with Ayami felt like he'd done pretty well. But yesterday was the worst that he ever felt in his life. Fear stopped him from acting out against those things. Back in the Shinobi district, he felt powerless when those bugs almost overwhelmed him. If that was the case, then why? Why was he even alive? Why did he even save Kurena and Ayam? If he couldn't protect them, maybe they would all be dead anyways. If he kept this up, he would not be returning home at some point. I gotta figure out how this stuff worked, Naruto thought. Hours. Many frustrating hours passed by as Naruto tried to make the green stuff inside him work. Yet, the first day he went to bed with nothing but frustration. That said, he cataloged what went wrong. So the chakra, for whatever reason, was not used for making jutsu or climbing onto surfaces. He tried the clone jutsu so much times, but there was nothing. He even tried summoning technique, but that provided nothing as well. That led him to believe whatever this chakra was, it probably wasn't useful for combat. Then what the hell was it useful for, he wondered to himself, as he ended up falling asleep. The second day was when Naruto tried something rather interesting. Instead of using the green chakra to fuel its own powers, he decided to use it to fuel his powers that he already had. Now that is where something interesting happened. It was indeed chakra, but just a different type. There was a scientific term that the blonde could not name, but it was chakra. As Naruto channeled it directly into his body, since jutsu did not work, he's seen Lee and many other taijutsu wielders do this. This was even greater than what normal chakra could do, as it enhanced him to a ridiculous degree. As Naruto threw a kunai, it sailed for miles. The force that it slammed into the building with, it brought the building down to its knees. He could see further than the Great Walls of Konoha, with his body enhanced. He could run as fast and as far as he thought possible. He could lift heavier objects and pull heavier things. However, there was a problem. It had a backlash. Whenever he released the effects of the green chakra, he felt immense pain, near to the point of passing out. Blood dripped from the corner of his mouth and his eyesight. It blurred for about an hour. The backlash was just as great, if not greater, than when he first used the Kyuubi's chakra, as he knew that he could not fully rely on it. It was untamed and wild. Every time he used it, it felt like a hungry beast. A powerful ancient beast seeping into the crevices of his mind. It only had one word: domination. For the next 5 days he worked with the green chakra, as he prided himself on his work ethic. When he wanted to train, he trained until his arms ached, and his legs felt like they were about to fall off. Yet, no matter how much he trained, he could not get rid of the backlash. As it seems like the longer he used it, the worse it gotten on the backlash when he released it. Unfortunately, it rained for 1 day full, so he was stuck inside. Good thing Kurena had stopped bleeding though, as I am content to give her treatment. Naruto oversaw some of that, but he mostly spent his time in the living room. This is because he was using the green chakra for something else. He meditated. Yes, it doesn't sound right, nevertheless. He exercised his mind with a new chakra. Naruto saw memories of all the things that he experienced in the past. Some he liked to forget, others he wished he hadn't forgotten. With the green chakra amplifying his brain, Naruto remembered all the lessons he got from the academy. Every taijutsu, ninjutsu, and genjutsu lesson, everything came up to the front forth of his mind. The green chakra seemed to massage his brain, stirred up everything that he ever done, seen, smelled, heard, even the ones that were too far back to recall. Yet, there was one that he remembered. How could he even forget it? The Hokage residence. Despite the severe headache, Naruto walked over to the map and wrote on it. Now that he thought about it, The Hokage mansion had been destroyed by the stone faces. However, now that you remember, there were select bunkers hidden through the village in case of invasions. The stone faces, for example, was one of them. Clearly it was not the smartest one, but in order to get people there in a hurry, it was the most optional. However, you remember there was something beneath the Hokage mansion, because he snuck down there once. He was caught by the third and he got in trouble. When he asked what was down there, he remembered exactly what the old man said. A place, I hope, that never needed its lights turned on. Naruto did not know what that meant, but he would like to try. But the damn mansion was rubble, but it was still worth the look. The next day, Naruto was surveying everything through a pair of binoculars. Those creatures, they continued to patrol the area. He watched them carefully, closely even. Kakashi was always speaking about that know your enemy stuff. This was the best time to know his enemy. The massive earthquake from a few days ago was showing its after effects. Buildings had been bashed into each other. Corpses have tumbled over on one another. As Naruto had a tarp over him to protect himself. As he wrote down what he saw from the creatures. For lack of a better term, he just decided to call them bone crawlers. It wasn't hard to figure out, because they crawled everywhere they went. Clearly they did not eat, or he assumed they did not eat because he watched them for 6 hours, and they did not touch the bodies. They were very adept and nimble. Like a shinobi, they could leap across some buildings without sight or sound. How they did this he didn't know, and they also typically travel in 5, 4, always walk behind one. They made noises, some clicks, from somewhere in their bodies. Unlike last time, none of them screeched, because he assumed there was no threat. Instead, they ripped the heads off the decaying bodies and took them somewhere. As far as he saw, there was only those 5. He waited to see if more would come, but they never did. Yet as he observed them, Naruto looked over towards a mist that hung over the Shinobi district. Why are they just staying over there? Aside from that thing in the Chunin exam stadium and those bugs in the fissure, he hadn't really seen anything else. Why don't they just take over the civilian district, Naruto wondered, as he watched them just remain where they were. If they were like animals, he guessed, it could be territory. They had what they wanted, so they did not decide to expand anywhere else. Or maybe there was something here that he was not seeing. Not once, not one single time did they consider coming to his part of the village. Dare he say, they seem like they want to avoid it. The thought of something in the part of the village that he was worried him rather badly. However, what could he do? Because he didn't even know what it was. And he wouldn't exactly go out and find it. He had enough close calls for the entire week already. Once the day was coming to an end, Naruto made his way back. As Kurenai was at the table with Ayam, as Naruto was glad, she had stopped coughing blood some time ago. He was glad to see her moving even though she was still a bit sluggishly. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, Ayam said. Ayam-chan, Kurenai-san, said Naruto. I got a bit of an idea. Before that, Ayam said, one of the water jugs and the bottles in the apartment is starting to get low, she said. As Naruto pulled out a notepad and the pen and wrote that down. Alright. He then took out his map as Ayam passed him a bento and some juice, as she gave one Kurenai as well before she got her own. The three of them stared at the map as Naruto tapped it with a pen. A part that he marked. Kurenai-san, you're a Jonin, so you probably know. I know that there's something beneath the Hokage mansion. Gigi told me about it, can you tell me what it is? As she looked at the spot. Normally, I would say that's confidential, but I don't think that anyone's gonna blame me if we don't follow protocol. Hokage-sama said that it was a series of tunnels that led to deeper places within Konoha. I've never been down there myself, but I know all the major facilities are linked down in the tunnel. The Anvu headquarters, the Forest of Death Tower, and many other important facilities are connected to that tower. It also leads to some other places, but I was not authorized to know, she said. Naruto and Ayam blinked. There were places that not even Jonins knew about. You're going to investigate, said Kurenai. Naruto nodded. The apartment is getting weaker by the day. It won't be long before it falls down. I got to find us another place that won't get melted so easily. That was why I went to the Chunin exam stadium where I found Ayam-chan, said Naruto. I'm the only one that can actually fight right now, so it's natural that I should go, said Naruto. Kurenai had to admit that she was impressed with how much he was doing by himself. As she asked, and should you encounter any more of these creatures mutating in the village? Ayam shivering dread at that thought. I found a good way to fight them. Besides, I'm only investigating right now, said Naruto. And with the fall of the stone faces, I might not be able to get in through the Hokage mansion either. I sure don't know where the Anvu headquarters are. And to get to the Forest of Death, I would have to go all the way to the Shinobi district once again. And I don't know what the earthquake might have done to it, he replied. But how are you going to... Ayam stopped as Naruto smiled. Don't worry, he said. I'll figure something out. I swore to protect you both, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'll find us a safer place, he said earnestly. So honest was his reply that neither girl knew how to combat it. His words felt reassuring even in these bad situations. It felt nice to them both. And if the Hokage mansion doesn't work out, said Kurenai, Naruto tapped another part of the map. Well, there is the red light district. I know a few casinos with underground bars, an entertainment tunnel. The way the world is right now, staying somewhere high is not gonna help us. Hell, sometimes I'm nervous with us staying on this floor. Kurenai nodded. That made sense. Not knowing when some of these buildings would fall and crumble into dust. Naruto, how do you even know about the red light district? Ayam said. Please, Ayam-chan, said Naruto. You're talking to the guy that did not have a bedtime growing up. I saw many things. I work for some of the places as well. You work in the red light district, she asked. As Naruto shrugged, the stipend for orphans was not great as you think it was. It barely covered the cost of my books, shinobi gear and other stuff. I needed the money for food and other clothing. How do you think I got so good at dodging Chunin and Jonins? I did rush jobs all the time. No one's gonna suspect a kid of carrying cargo. It wasn't until I became a genin I started making enough money to quit that lifestyle. The two women glanced toward each other. Neither of them knew what to say about that as well. Kurenai felt rather bad. She would like to help, but she was still not fully functional. By Naruto accounts, the environment out there was rougher, and she was already sick. Hell, she couldn't even make it to the door a few days ago. It would take some time before she started through kicks and punches, although there was something that disturbed her. No matter how hard she tried, she could not gather her chakra. She thought her chakra would have returned by now, but she did not feel a percentage of what she once had. Hell, the chakra that she could feel was the bare minimum that humans use to keep themselves alive. When she tried to gather her chakra, she felt pain. The pain was beyond intense. She had passed out for an entire day after trying. She wondered if Naruto felt the same thing. Surely he tried to cast jutsu at least once. That said, she kept it to herself for now. They were already worried about her enough. She did not need to add to it anymore. And besides, judging from the bags under his eyes, he was truly trying hard for their sake. With the planning done, Naruto spent the rest of the day going over what he observed from the bone crawlers, training, and he also gave the two a wireless radio that he found, as he found them along with other things in the Shinobi district. With this, at least he could stay in contact with them. He also set up a training board for Kurenai. It was a must, but at least she could practice her throws, as she was also teaching Ayam as well how to handle kunais and shurikens. They couldn't take in chances. She had to be capable just like them. Naruto told her once she got better, he got something that he wanted to show her. Her interest was piqued. As she quickly nodded, night started to settle over the village. The place was immensely cold. Kurenai fell asleep after being given her medicine. Before they fell asleep, Ayam told Naruto that they were out of the medicine that they were using. They did have other ones, but Naruto felt like he had to make it to the Konoha hospital. Those thoughts drifted him off to sleep. The next morning he got dressed. After Ayam prepared breakfast for them, she also packed Naruto lunch for going outside. As Naruto switched on the headset, he adjusted the sound and the radio frequency. Alright, the plan was to look in any instance of the Hokage mansion. Then he would find water, and then he would head to the hospital to pick up whatever he needed. Once he was geared, he stepped towards the door. Be safe, Naruto-kun, Ayam said. He gave her a thumbs up and then left. As he landed on a nearby rooftop, it was so cold, he could see his breath. The sky was filled with clouds of dark grey. The wind blew fast, so the village was quiet. When had it ever been so quiet except for the freezing wind? Wasting no time, Naruto spoke up. Ayam-chan, do you read? He said. I read you, Naruto-kun, she said. Her voice coming over the radio. Good. I'll be sure to make regular updates, said Naruto, his voice muffled by the scarf. He dashed towards the Hokage's stone faces. As Naruto ran, he thought about the apartment. One of the spare floors had crashed into another. There was a good thing nothing was in there, but it was getting worse. They had to move. He thought it would hold up for a bit longer, but it wasn't holding as long as he thought. He would have to say goodbye to his home. After some time, Naruto landed on the ground before the destroyed buildings. Unlike last time, there was no blood stains. They must have been covered up by the wind or sand, or melted away by the acid rain. Either way, it was just as lifeless as the rest of the village. He stepped over the fallen gates and entered into the compound. He looked at the Hokage's stone faces. A lot of it had been melted from the constant rain and weather. It wouldn't be long before they completely vanished. Alright, time to get to work, Naruto said. Once he made sure there was no danger, he raced to another rooftop. He took out his binoculars as he scanned the Shinobi district. He was surprised they were gone. The bone crawlers were nowhere to be seen. For nearly the past week he was watching them. They always stayed out, as they were out from very early in the morning. Why would they be gone now? Naruto moved to his task though, as hard work and labor was his next task, as he pushed and pulled debris out of the way, moving the falling stones. Beneath his mask his breath was hot but his body shivered. It was very cold outside. As Naruto lifted up a piece of boulder and threw it to the side, the dust flew all over his face but the goggles protected him. Ion's voice came over the earpiece. Phone anything. Nothing but dust and wandering ants. I've been out here for 6 hours, he said. He leaned against the destroyed wall as he took a breath. Look around the area where the Hokage mansion fell. It's a tunnel system. It's not capable of moving itself. Naruto was a bit surprised to hear Kurenai's voice over the other line. He followed her instructions though as he moved to the spot where he thought the mansion once stood. It was a bit hard to tell, given all the natural disasters. Well, everything was just so messed up. After about 2 more hours, his efforts were rewarded though. It's here. Or at least I think it is, said Naruto. It took some digging but he finally found 2 metal doors, with a large seal over them. Thank Kami, Ion said. So what will you do now? Investigate, she said. He should probably come back. The seal on the door is very difficult. All Jonins know how to open it but a Genin can't. He should. I know how to open it, Naruto cut off Kurenai. What? She said to him. I know how to open it, said Naruto. I can see it. It was true, as Naruto could see every part of the seal coming apart with green light. Just like the chakra that he was training with, how it unraveled in front of his eyes. He didn't know how, but it was the same way for the storage scroll. He could decipher them like they were locks, and ease the pick, as he could see every inworking of the seal and how to unravel it rather easily. So he just did it, and there was a clicking sound as the seal faded away. Opening said doors, Naruto paused. It's open, he said. What? That's impossible. How did you... Apologies, Kurenai-san, said Naruto. But I'll have to answer your questions later, said Naruto. As Naruto glanced down towards the dark, empty place. Well, he wasn't sure if it was empty, but the darkness was, well, he wasn't the same old Naruto that would have jumped right into something this dark, as his mind was telling him that something was not right here. However, he needed to go and investigate to see. After all, he could not allow anything to happen to Ion or Kurenai. They need to move from that house. Naruto was kind of hopeful that some people escaped down here. However, there was a part of him that was telling him that he was wrong, but he was still hopeful. It's snowing. We're not even in a winter month, Naruto heard over the radio. Glancing up, he saw that they were right. For a moment he smiled, although it was not the time for snow to fall. It was good to see. As Naruto felt himself getting heavier, and heavier, and heavier. Naruto was confused until he looked down. What the? Naruto's eyes went wide as the strands of snow stuck themselves together. They spread like a fungus, a white fungus that went all over his clothing. It was like hundreds of white crawling worms creeping together. Naruto tried to wipe it off with his other hand, but it spread on his arm. Both arms were becoming encased as they wrapped around him. By the grace of Kami, Naruto was able to pull his hands out of his gloves. He stepped away as they fully wrapped around the finger material. They froze solid. They didn't burst into nothing but dust. What the hell, said Naruto. Naruto turned, as his back was getting snow on it as well, piled on top of each other. Damn it, even the damn snow is trying to kill me. Ayam-chan, Kurenai-san, stay inside. Do not touch the snow, said Naruto. Naruto-kan, what's wrong? What's going on? Ayam said. The snow, it's alive, said Naruto as he threw off the clothing that he was wearing. Naruto, slow down. Snow cannot be alive, Kurenai said. Fine, whatever. Just don't go outside, said Naruto, no matter what. As Naruto jumped through the doors, as he closed them behind him, he could hear when the snow landed on it as he heard it creak like some animal or creature. Ayam-chan, Kurenai-san, come in, said Naruto, do you read me? However, there was nothing but static. He called out for them once again. After about 5 more minutes, Naruto decided that it was probably the door. Yes, it must be the door that was blocking the signal. They were fine, he told himself. They got his last warning. However, yet, there was a fear in his heart that something was wrong. However, as he tried to push open the door, the snow got heavier and held it down. It sounded like it was gonna break as Naruto started to step back slowly, as he could hear the thing pounding down hard. He stepped back to make sure that even if it did break, he was far enough away. "Alright, relax Naruto," he said. As he took several deep breaths, "Everything's gonna be fine. They're safe," he told himself. He just need to find another way to get out of here. Out of here. He quickly pulled out the flashlight and turned it on. As the light flickered on, however, it was barely any help. The place was just consumed with so much darkness that he couldn't really see fully. Not to mention he was low on food he only packed for a day trip. He did not expect to get stuck in here. He looked towards the stairs that led to the deep dark tunnel. Thoughts about what was in here unnerved him, but he had to go forward to find a way. He had to go now as he started to step. His footsteps echoed through the place. There was a chill that rushed down here. There must be some kind of vent or opening area for the place to be this cold. Naruto walked for so long that he wasn't sure how long he was walking for. The darkness was warping his sense of time. His fingers touched the stone walls. Stone gave way to steel and metal. The distant howling of wind flowing below him caused him some concern, but not too much, as he finally reached the bottom as his steps went through some connected lanes. As expected of a bunker, as he could feel it, the groove in the ground that turns and twists. As Naruto kept on moving as his light caught sight of something a flash. Naruto looked towards and he saw what it was. It was a glint. As Naruto realized what it was set up to, it was a trap. Several kunais to launch from the ceiling if activated. It wasn't just one though, there were dozens. Numerous explosive tags, fire tags, chakra ceiling tags, and many more weapons all over the area to set off if someone got too close. Someone must be down here. Naruto turned out the flashlight. It made it harder for him to see the traps, but there was no way that someone was not monitoring. If they were an enemy, he would do the same as back in Chunin exam. Give them no reason to be certain of his position. As Naruto moved with much more caution this time. As Naruto found the tunnels turning darker, but for some strange reason, he felt fine to navigate them. He didn't know why, but he felt a better perception of things. He touched a wall and he could feel where everything was. The kunais, the shurikens, the explosive tags. He could sense them all. He couldn't see them, but he can kind of picture where they were. He stepped over a trap before he twists, and stepped over another one that was double layered. Whoever made these traps though, they were good. Not nearly as good as him, but they were good. Once he maneuvered his way through the traps, he turned into a hallway. Honestly, just how long these places were. Suddenly, Naruto stopped as he reached into his backpack and pulled out a kunai. He heard footsteps. It was not the weather, he heard footsteps. As Naruto tossed one of his weapons towards the opposite wall, as he heard the footsteps stop. Before they started to grow closer, they had paused. "I'm telling you, I heard something," a voice spoke up. It sounded like a woman. It could just be the mice again. They like to wander these dark tunnels. This time it was a male that spoke up. It sounded oddly familiar. However, Naruto could not leap for joy. The sun and sand did attack. "Mice? Then you go first. I'll hold the light so we can see then." As Naruto gripped the kunai that he had in his hand rather tightly. It was dark so he could not see very well. The light from one of the others shined down the tunnel that he was in. The shadow of a young man got closer and closer and closer until Naruto struck. He just jumped into action. As he surprised the both of them, he grabbed the young man. He then placed his kunai next to his throat. "Don't move or I'll kill him," said Naruto. As he pressed the kunai against his captive throat, the young girl growled, "Do it, and it will be the last mistake that you..." She shined a light on his face. "Hey, it's you. You're the kid that beat Neji in the Chunin exams." Naruto looked up with a frown, as he couldn't see properly because of the light. "Who are you?" he said. She brought the flashlight down to her face, though she looked worse for wear. Naruto saw who it was. It was the girl with the bun in her hair. She looked pale, but it was her. "You're Neji's teammate," said Naruto. "Tenten at your service," she said. "Now how about you remove the kunai and start to apologize to your friend there?" Friend, Naruto wondered. As he pulled back, looking towards the person, Naruto was surprised. At first, Naruto thought that it was Ebisu, as he looked at the glasses, but it was not. "It's good to see you, Naruto. You can fully release me now." Naruto's eyes widened as an insect fly past his face. Shino! Naruto wasn't sure whether to cry or laugh. Hell, he would have probably done a mixture of both. One of Kurenai's students was alive. That alone made him happy. Then there was young Kunoichi Tenten, Neji's teammate. If he wasn't so exhausted, he might have hugged the both of them. As Naruto collapsed against the wall, "You both have no idea how awesome it is to see your faces." The two quickly sat next to him. "You don't look so bad yourself. Where were you hiding?" "We searched tunnels for weeks, and we never found a soul," Tenten said. Naruto was confused as he pointed upwards. "I've been on the surface in the village," he said. "You guys won't believe all the crazy stuff out there." The both of them looked towards him, a bit surprised. You were on the surface?" Tenten said. "Yeah, I'm at my apartment with Ayam and Kurenai," said Naruto. "I rescued them both and we've been hunkered there for some time now." Though he and Tenten did not see it, Shino visibly relaxed. It sensed he was alive. That was some good news in this depressing world. He turned. "Naruto," he said. As Naruto turned towards him, "Are you sure that you were on the surface?" "What? Of course I was," said Naruto. "Just look at all this stuff I got." As he opened his backpack, Tenten picked up one of the kunai. She shivered from his cold touch. Perfectly maintained and not anything rusty. "But it's impossible." "What's impossible?" said Naruto. "The ear. It's toxic. No one can survive up there. If you're up there, you'd have seen all the bodies on the ground. Nothing but bones, right? The only place that we went to were the Forest of Death Tower and the Anvu headquarters. Out the windows, we saw the bodies," Shino said. He wanted to think that they were messing with him, but look of horror on their faces. He could tell that they weren't joking in the slightest. "Well, we've been up there for nearly a month now, and we're completely fine." The two looked at each other. It just seemed so impossible for him to be telling the truth. But the evidence of him being up there was obvious. And the weapons, except for the other places, they were all taken. "We should inform Katsu-san about this," Shino said. As Naruto wondered who was that. Once the three were arrested, they asked Naruto to follow them. "Excuse me, Naruto, I have a question," Shino said. As Naruto had a dreaded feeling. "Is it about Kiba and Hinata?" Naruto asked, cutting Shino off. As the bug user did not reply, he just looked towards him silently waiting. "They're both dead," said Naruto. "Kiba was at Chunin exam stadium. Hinata, she was somewhere else," said Naruto. "I see," said Shino. Oddly, Tenten did not ask about her own team. Maybe she was too afraid to hear the answer, as Naruto did not bring it up either. "So, how did you guys make it down here?" "Kurenai told me about this spot, but she said only a Jonin could get in." "How did you guys make it?" said Naruto. Tenten chuckled at that. "You might not believe it, but a Genin helped us get in." Naruto paused. "A Genin? Was it possible someone out there could use a green chakra like him?" As Tenten looked towards him, "Something wrong?" "No," said Naruto. "I just find it strange, that's all." She nodded. "Well, he's a Genin in rank, but Jonin in skill. It's who we're taking you to meet. Kasuke, Murabashi-san. He's better known as the Eternal Genin." Naruto mouthed thin at that. The guy did not sound that tough if he was called something like that. That said, he learned not to underestimate people. Maybe there was something that he was missing here. So with that, they kept on trekking through the halls. As they walked, Tenten told her story. Once the Stone and Sand invasion started, she immediately started helping people to get to the shelters and the bunkers. She was able to dispatch a few enemies, but their main focus was the safety of the civilians. It was then that she saw the rock fall from the heavens and slam into the earth. Its force was so great that it shook the ground beneath her feet violently. She figured that she had passed out because when she woke up, Konoha stunk of dead. She had saw the rotting corpse and decaying bodies lying in the streets. She heard screaming as chaos ran through the village. She also remembered how hard it was to breathe. She ran through all the destruction going on. She watched earthquakes sink homes and families. Friends and neighbors were crushed into the ground over others. Not even children were safe as fallen debris crushed them without mercy. All this as she could only watch as people start to claw at their face and necks in pain. She remembered blood oozing out of them before they collapsed dead. The ear was too tight, too thick, too strong. She passed out. When she woke up, she was with Shino and Kasuke as they were underneath Konoha in the tunnels. It was her and him, and along with a few other Genins, Chunins, and civilians. At first, everything went well for a week. A few Jonin led the survival group and started task orders. Kasuke, though a Genin, he was one of them. The Genins were tended to healing and protecting the civilians. The Chunins were tasked to head out and report him back. A Jonin went with them to unlock the doors. That's how it was supposed to go. However, the first group did not return. A week later, still worried about them not returning, the second group decided to finally go and look. And they did not return. After that, the civilians were rightfully scared. They started to point blame, some got angry and some got scared. Loss of food, shelter, water. Fighting started to take place. Kosuk was able to calm them down. He said they would be fine. He also said that he would check to see what was going on. Tenten managed to convince Shino that they should investigate as well. 5 days later, they would exit through the Forest of Death Tower. It was a solid plan. It could work. If there was enemies out there, they would be protected by the trees. However, it went wrong. It just went so wrong. 4 Jonin and 2 Chunins that came with them. The moment they stepped out, Tenten still had nightmares on what she saw. They inhaled the air. Blood started to ooze out of them as their bodies started to shiver uncontrollably. Before they could even turn and rush back to them, they died. That was when Tenten knew their worlds were gone. That is why the groups went missing. They didn't even make it past the frontier of the Forest of Death. Kosuk went back to the group and they were furious. He tried to tell them what he had seen. Tenten and Shino tried to back up his claims. However, who will listen to an old man and 2 Genins? As the civilians, the remaining Genins, and few Chunin guards all left, except for the 3 of them. They left another hallway with what supplies they could get. In the week that followed, Tenten wondered what happened to them because she never saw anyone of them again. From then on, it's just been the 3 of them that followed. As Naruto swallowed the lump in his throat as he heard the story, he turned towards Shino, but he just shook his head. He told him that he would tell him another time. Naruto assumed it was because Shino was dejected about the news of Hinata and Kiba. He did not push the matter. Besides, Shino was not the guy to talk about his feelings in a way. Maybe Kurenai could get something out of him when they met. After some more walking, they guided Naruto down a large ladder. A few turns and tunnels later, Naruto noticed a large door. As they finally arrived towards the location, as Naruto was wanting to see this person, he wondered if this man could also use green chakra as him. If that was the case, maybe he knew what was up with it. And Naruto also wanted to know, why were they affected by the surface while Kurenai and Ayam was not? He wanted to know what was going on and about the green chakra as well. Because there might be a case that only he can use it. And if that was the case, why? He still did not understand what it was, or even understand the depths. All he knew was, it screamed domination, a power that he has never felt before. So strong, so domineering. And he need to know. But guys, be and subscribe right here. If you want to see next person, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in social media platform. And also guys, I post a brand new episode of What If Naruto Sealed Kaguya inside of himself and trained for 6,000 years guys, so go ahead, check out that for yourself and enjoy. And remember, I have not cancelled the what ifs over here, so there's nothing for you guys to worry about or say anything guys, because they will be coming out tomorrow, so just sit back, relax, and yeah. And I have not cancelled what if Naruto's a quirk, and I have not cancelled what if Naruto's clan was betrayed over and making 3, so there's nothing for you guys to worry about. Just sit back, relax, and yeah, enjoy. So without further ado, what do you say we jump the hell out of here? See you guys soon. Peace guys.